How do monsters like their eggs? Terrified. Welcome. My name is Count Frightculous, and I will be your guide into the chilling, spooky scariness of the world, and maybe perhaps the universe. But for now, our journey is taking us down the road of scary book stories, and I have to say lately we've not had very many scary books. Really, they've been somewhat unexpected stories going on, but they're not really scary, so hopefully we're getting a good scary one tonight. Ah, there's the banging at the door. That's the Grim Picker with the scary book. But let me just warn you, never deny the choice of the Grim Picker. Even if it's not scary, never deny the choice of the Grim Picker. Once the decision is made, it must not be undone. And here we go. Let's find out what it is. And the title of this scary book stories, of books of stories. Yeah, whatever I said there, it's very simply called Ghost. Ooh, Ghost. And up here at the top it even says right away, it says, if you don't believe in ghost, we challenge you to read true tales of the weird and supernatural. So are they trying to tell us that the stories in this book are true? Let's go ahead and get right into it. The first story is called The Macabre Mummy of Takematem. Am I saying that right? I don't know. Takematem. That's a weird name there, okay? Takematem, am I saying that right? Anyway, so we find out there's a museum, and there's a man, he's the head of the museum, he's in charge of it with the exhibitions, and they're bringing in the treasures, I guess, the tomb, the sarcophagus, all the stuff from the Takematem, the pharaoh there, and but the Egyptian guy there, the one that is, his advisors saying, hey, be very careful about these relics. They were removed from the tomb, but you know how there's curses and all that. And the man says, I don't believe in the curses. Nothing was ever verified. He goes, even so, you have to remember, they practice the eye for an eye, right? It's like you cut off a man's hand and the same will be done to you. And he says, would it be the pharaoh's curse or the mummy's revenge? And he says, for your sake, I hope it's neither. So anyway, he's going there, and the wife says, oh, let's stop talking about all this negative stuff. But then all of a sudden, they see a mummy up in the gallery walking, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a mummy. The Egyptian representative there is like freaked out. He's like, oh my gosh, the mummy. Oh no, this is terrible. And he's like, wait a minute, is this some kind of joke? He's like, I wish it was. This is not a joke. The mummies can come back. They say that the spirits of the mummies can come back from the grave, from the tomb, to exact revenge, right? So the man's like, okay, this is freaky. We got to figure out what's going on. He tells his wife, go home, wife. Don't stay here. You need to go home. I'm going to handle this. She says, please be careful, of course. But then you see her running away down the hallway. But then we see this mummy lurking in the shadows. Ooh, what's going on with that? Has the fingernails even. Look at the fingernails. Pretty sharp fingers going on there. Maybe they manicured the hands before they mummified that one. Anyway, there they go. He's like, all right, we have to stop the mummy. He's like, there's nothing you can do. He's already dead. The only way that you can stop a mummy is with a Damascus steel sword run through the mummy's heart. He's like, all right, well, we have one of those in the museum, actually. Let me go get it. So he runs to get the sword, and the other guy's like, okay, but I'm out of here, man. And so he gets the sword. Here come the guards, and he's like, hey, you can put those guns away. They're not going to do anything. You got to use the sword. So he's going up to try to attack, to get to the mummies, right? And one of the mummies leaps at him. Not a very good leap. He completely misses him and does a face plant right into the floor, which is just like, wow. Okay, I don't know. That was kind of strange. I mean, they took several panels to show this mummy completely missing the guy and just face planting it into the ground. And here he goes. Then the mummies start leaving. So he's chasing the mummies, and they go down into the basement. I guess they're probably going down to where all the artifacts, maybe where all the treasures that they took from the tomb of the Pharaoh, right? So anyway, he's down there, and he's looking for the main one. He's like, this one seems to be the one in charge. So he runs the sword through it, right? And then all the other mummies drop. And then he's like, all right, we got them. So later, they're going to unravel, and he's like, hey, wait a minute. Here's the mummy is the one you used the sword on. And the guy's like, wait a minute, no, that's not it. I thought it was this one right here on the table. He goes, by George, it wasn't the Pharaoh's spirit I destroyed. This is his queen. So then he's like, well then, wait a minute, what's this other one over here? I'm sure that I thrust my sword through it. And as he unravels it, he sees it's his wife. Ooh, so there you go. You know, like the Egyptian guy said, an eye for an eye, you know. You killed his queen, he kills your basically queen, your wife, you know. So there you go. A little bit unexpected, kind of scary in a way, right? To know that you just murdered your wife. But I guess if we go back to that one panel where we saw her going down the hallway and we see the mummy lurking in the shadow, maybe that mummy grabbed her and wrapped her up. But how would he know? How would he know that he was going to stab him with the sword? You know what I mean? It's like, if he knew that, why wouldn't they just figure out? See, that's what I mean. See, the story, sometimes you start asking too many questions and it ruins it. So we shouldn't ask too many questions. Just go along with the scariness of the mummies walking around. And, you know, but I was kind of foolish. These mummies are not very strong. I mean, I guess they're strong maybe, but they're not very bright. I mean, this one just leapt and missed him and completely missed him, went flying off the balcony and face planted right into the floor. It's like, okay, these mummies are apparently not too bright. We don't have too much to worry about with them. They're not going to, it's going to have to be really slow for them to catch us, right? That's what I always thought the mummy, you know, moves so slow. Kind of like Frankenstein, very slow. Just run. Keep running, man. Just run. Don't get near it. Like the guards say, stay out of its reach. It's not very fast, and if it does swipe at you, you obviously have plenty of time to move out of the way. Anyway, that's the story. The man's wife was killed. It was an exact revenge. It was the mummy's curse. Here we go into the next one. It's called Chimes for a Corpse. Ooh, and you get the tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. We find out it's a watchmaker. A man and a woman are married, and their father owns this clock store that makes clocks and fixes watches, and so, you know, but the dad, we find out he's very mean-spirited again. There's always somebody in these scary stories that's very mean and mean-spirited and just has no compassion for anyone, you know. I guess that's part of a scary story. You gotta have somebody that's always angry, you know, and evil and mean, you know, because you think, they're the one that's going to get it, and sometimes they're not, but most of the time, yeah, you know, something's going to bad to happen because they're so mean to everyone. The dad, very mean, but he's very precise about everything, very anal about everything. I need my dinner at 7:20, I go to bed at 9:38, exactly on the dot, so he's all about being precise. I mean, he does work, he does own a clock store, and he works on watches, so he's very precise with everything. Relax a little bit, man, take it easy, just let it go once in a while. Don't be so stuck on everything having to be precise, being a perfectionist, right? Stop that, it's going to drive you insane. So here we go, maybe not you, but someone else. So we see here that the daughter, that's his daughter, and you know, he loves his daughter, of course, but he doesn't like the son-in-law. He's always picking on the son-in-law because the son-in-law tends to be a little late at times, and of course, that is against everything he believes in. Everything has to be on time, to the moment, to the second. But then one day the daughter leaves to go work in another town, and the two of them are left alone, which the daughter should have seen this coming. Should I really leave these two people who don't like each other alone together? But he does. And of course the father-in-law is just berating him. Hey, you're 10 minutes late. Hey, right here. It's 10:22 precisely. Where's my hot chocolate? You know, 4 minutes after 5, you should have swept the store on the hour. You know, he's just bickering and just berating the guy, just nitpicking him, just poking him and poking him and poking him. And then all the time you hear the tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. I mean, look how many clocks are in this place, tons of clocks. The guy's going crazy. He gets so angry, he gets crazy. And he's like, okay, I'll bring you your dinner. And of course, we see him in the medicine cabinet. He's probably going to put something in there, you know. I mean, you see the little poison bottle, but he's actually grabbing like an aspirin bottle. But we can imagine he's probably going to do a little concoction of his own, right? And so the guy goes to bed, but he's still yelling at him. Well, then the wife comes home, the daughter comes home, and he's very happy to see her, and she's like, oh, how's it been going? He's like, oh, it's going okay, everything's fine. And then she says, where's father? Oh, he's okay. No, where is father? Something's wrong. Where's my father? So she goes looking for him. She goes upstairs, and there she is right there. Dad, or father. She's like, he looks dead. What's wrong? And then she's like, what's that noise? And she opens his shirt, and he's got a clock embedded into his chest. This guy, the son-in-law, went so crazy that he built the clock into the man's chest, And then look how crazy he is right here in his face. I mean, he's gone insane. With all the tick-tocking and the 6:21, 2:25, where's my hot chocolate? It's 10:18, whatever. He's like, it's funny. He's like, he lived by the clock, breathed by the clock, and died by the clock. And if he's still concerned about time, wherever his evil soul is lurking, he'll know it every minute, every second, And he's like, he'll be happy to know he died at precisely 6:35. So the man went crazy, and the daughter's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. You're insane, you're mad, how could you have done this? He's like, oh, whatever, don't worry. And then he's also like, don't worry, your father's just fine, he'll never run down. I put a perpetual motion clock in him, so he will tick forever. That's true, except his body will decay eventually, okay? So your little plan has a flaw in the slaw, as we like to say, but the guy is crazy. So he's walking away, he's, doesn't care anymore, he's completely mad. But then, for some reason, this grandfather clock just tips over and falls on him and crushes him, and he's dead. And that's it. That was the end of the story. I don't know what the daughter is going to do now. I mean, she's got a dead husband and a dead father. So, I hope that job she has in the other town can be a long-term job, because I don't know that she's going to want to stay in this clock store anymore. I feel for her. But, the father probably didn't deserve it. He was a bit of an anal jerk, but I don't think he deserved to die and have a clock built into his chest. I mean, how long did it take him to do that? I mean, the guy had to be crazy, right, to do something like that. But then a grandfather clock fell on him and killed him too. So you wonder, did the spirit of the dad, push the grandfather clock? I mean, you assume. I mean, it says true tales, so, all right. I mean, he had to end it somehow. They weren't going to let the crazy guy get away with it, right? He had some kind of revenge. Well, that was the revenge. He was killed by a clock. Live by the clock, die by the clock. There you go. Anyway, the last story we're going to get to is Beyond the Portals of the Unknown. So this is during a war. It's in France, and these French troops show up at this guy's chateau, I guess you would call it, and they're like, hey, we need to quarter here at your house. We'll just sleep down in this basement. We'll sleep down in this cellar. And he's like, oh, no, let me put you somewhere else. But then they hear all this yelling and screaming, and they're clawing at the door, and they're like, what the heck? Somebody's trapped behind that giant door. And he's like, no, it's nobody. Don't worry. It's just, let me put you somewhere else. And they're like, hey, wait a minute, dude. The troops are like, the French officers like, hey, if you got somebody trapped in there, that's not right. We're going to let them out. So they set a bomb. They blow open the door, and the guy's like, man, this door is hard. It's so thick, the armor. He's like, I barely can drill holes to set the explosives. And they blow the door open, and they're like, good Lord, what in the heck is going on there? They see these bodies that are all, have been chained to the wall, and they're dead. And he's like, oh, this is so nasty. But the guy that owns the house, he runs away. They're like, the farmer, he's escaping. So they grab him because they think maybe he had something to do with it. But then they realize he tells them the story, which he should have just told them the story at the beginning, and maybe the troops wouldn't have blown the door open and released all the evil spirits, right? But they really didn't have anything to fear. It was the farmer that had the fear. But he tells the story, it began back in the 1700s. An ancestor of his owned the farm, and he was very mean-spirited, and he basically took advantage of the helpers on his land. They were going to try to revolt against him, but then he found out about it, had the local town police come and basically slaughter them, and then the ones that survived, he took them and locked them down in the dungeon and just closed them in. Let them starve to death. Just let them die alive, chained to the walls. Pretty gruesome. The guy was obviously very, very mean. Again, very angry man. Revenge comes back to him, right? But his family, they swore to get back to him at some point, whether in this life or the next or in some. So his ancestors were always in danger. Now this is a story that kind of sucks, because the ancestor, this farmer, an ancestor of this guy, had nothing to do with what was going on, but he knew of the curse. He knew that the door couldn't be opened or the evil spirits would come out to get him. But So he was trying to just ignore it, which he should have tried to do an exorcism, or he should have tried to do something to try to break that curse, right? But he didn't. He just was letting it go. So in a way, I mean, he deserved it because he was letting it go on through the years, right? They end up, they bring him down in there, and he's like, look, I don't believe in this kind of stuff. He goes, but now you freed them from their tomb. I am the last of the Lefreys. Their ghost will demand vengeance. In heaven's name, help me close this door before they destroy me. He's like, look, I don't believe in this. Dead men cannot kill. And then all of a sudden, here comes this swirling around, and they grab him and they pull him into the thing, and it's these ghost hands, and I mean, the soldiers are freaked out at this point. Whoa, he's like, sacre nom. What in heaven's name is going on here? Someone put on the lights. And then when they turn the light on, there he is, he's chained to the wall and he's dead. And they're like, well, I guess ghosts can kill. I guess dead men can kill. And the soldier's like, all right, well, that's the end of that. We gotta go. Just put that door back up and let's act like we were never here. That's what the soldiers did. They're like, the soldiers come in, right? I mean, this poor farmer, he's just trying to make a living, right? I mean, yes, he's got this curse on his land. The soldiers come, hey, we're gonna take this. Oh, wait a minute, you got somebody trapped back there. They blow the door open, they release the evil spirits. The evil spirits exact revenge on the farmer. The farmer's dead now, he's chained to the wall for all eternity. And the soldiers are like, oh, whoops, whoopsie. Here, just put the door back up. We'll just act like we were never here. Ta-ta. Frightculous. All right, ghost. So with that, we need to get the official rating from the demon baby. Here we go. Let's see what she has to say about this one. All right. See you in just a moment. And so now we're waiting for the demon baby. Is she aware? Yes, she's aware, and she's going to give us an official rating for this scary story. And right away, she gives us 1 head spin. That's 1 head spin from demon baby. Can we get any more? I'm sure we might get up to, yes, 2 head spins, because there was some scary moments in this book. It wasn't just completely ridiculous. I mean, it was very sadistic, the guy putting the clock in the other man's chest, and then you have the mummy, the guy's wife was killed because he was trying to stop the mummies, and then at the end, the old farmer, getting the vengeance on him. But I thought it was pretty sadistic of the soldiers just to, again, just walk away like, oopsie, so there you go. So yes, there we go. 2 head spins, 2 head spins. I think Demon Baby gets a little annoyed with me drawing this out. I need to be quicker. There she goes, 2 head spins. Any more head spins from the Demon Baby for this book entitled Ghost, And it says true tales of the weird and supernatural. So that's kind of spooky. Now you're wondering, is this real or not? Oh, look, she's giving it, yes, she gave it another half a head spin. But she's not turning her head back around. She turned her head to us again. I think Demon Baby has been a little annoyed with me lately. So let's go ahead and end this one for it. But yes, we have 2.5 head spins for this one, Ghost. All right, so good. Well, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, like this video. If you thought this was at least frightculous, maybe one of the stories might have resonated. You might have learned something, what are you gonna learn, But anyway, I don't know. You learn that, hey, don't let the soldiers quarter in your house if you have a lot of evil spirits in the basement, because they're going to let them out, and you're going to pay the price, and they're just going to walk away like nothing happened, right? And so anyway, there you go. And be very careful about, well, one thing we can learn is don't be anal. Don't worry so much about everything having to have a place and a time. Lighten up a little bit. Just relax. Relax, right? We have to relax a little bit, because you get so anal, it can drive you mad, and you're probably going to drive the people around you a bit crazy, and once they go crazy, they're going to embed a clock into your chest, right? So be very careful with that. And with that, I'm going to bid you a very good and fun goodbye, and I wish you a peaceful yet scariness. And I thought that was going to do, but we kind of, okay, there we go. All right. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next time.